Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Introduction to Social Media webinar, brought to you by the Department of Tourism, Major Events, Small Business and the Commonwealth Games. And this one is an extra special webinar, really, because it's also coming to you in Small Business Week. So for those of you that are already using Twitter, already jumped into social media, or indeed Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, or several other of the social media sites that are now using hashtags, then I encourage you to be using the hashtag SmallBizWeek. So SmallBiz week, W-E-E-K. Now, if that makes no sense to you whatsoever, fear not, because that's why we're here today. My name is Zoe Wyatt. I'm the social media specialist for the Creative Collective, but I'm also a business owner myself. I own and operate multiple businesses which are now marketed completely online, and I have been assisting businesses. I've now assisted hundreds, I guess it's probably thousands of businesses to grow their social media. My background, however, is a little interesting in that I'm a marine biologist by training. I had 10 years between government and state federal departments, and you're all thinking, why is a marine biologist teaching us marketing? Well, the reality for me was back in 2003, with a young family, I decided to go into my own business, into environmental consulting, and I was in for somewhat of a shock. What I wasn't ready for is I needed to be all things to all people, which included marketing my businesses. And I literally say I turned to the internet out of desperation. I was looking for a way to market my business without going out of my business. So for me, it was really a matter of confirming that the marketing worked, but I did so by getting it to market my own business. So first and foremost, I want you to know what I'm introducing you to today is what's working in social media right now. Okay, that's the most important thing. I have now grown my own social media presence and across multiple business accounts to include clients in 7 countries. I have a Twitter following in excess of 60,000. My personal Twitter account has 46,000 followers. We've had 120,000 views plus on YouTube and many, many more thousands across LinkedIn and Facebook. But what does that all mean for all of you? It means that today I want you to pay attention not just to the information that I'm giving you, but the context, okay? We're going to look a lot at how to strategically use social media and what does that actually mean for your business. Because I think there's a very big adage that people think that, you know, social media is this latest fad and we should all jump into it. But in reality, you need to be looking at why you're doing social media. So we are going to spend some time looking at the social media landscape, defining your social media strategy and defining your social media policy. And I explain why they are different. How you get started in social media, how do you monitor your social media, how do you actually work out if what you're doing is making you any money, and we'll look at how you measure those results. Now, there will be an opportunity to ask questions at the end, and you are encouraged to interact via the text chat throughout the session. So you have a chat box there and a question box. You can be typing your questions in throughout the session. If I see those questions and they're relevant to what I'm covering, I'm very happy to answer those as we go along. But the majority of those I will be covering at the end because I'm mindful of giving you the maximum amount of information in the time that we have today. What I would also like to do is first and foremost make sure that you're all hearing me okay, and if you could use a little hand raising function that you have on the webinar platform, and if you can hear me loud and clear, please raise your hands and just type into the chat box that yes, I can hear you okay, Zoe. I would also love for you to let me know already if you're using social media, if you're brand new, just by giving me one word in the chat box about how you feel about social media. Are you excited by it? Are you scared by it? Are you nervous? Are you overwhelmed? Use your own word. I would love you to think if you could do in one word, how do you feel about social media, and type that into the chat box for me. So I've got some really great responses coming through on that. You may see me clicking around a little bit here. Daunted. I'm sure there's more than a few that feel a little bit daunted by it. Lots of excited. That's great. We can see the opportunity. Happy to get onto it. Fantastic. Okay, so this graphic here that you see, I know it's small on your screens, but really what I wanted to show is the landscape of social media. It's called the conversation prism. Brian Solis, and Solis rather. And what I want you to get from this is social media is huge, but in reality, social media is just a communication tool. And social media for me, really, I had a gentleman explain it to me, the earliest social media was smoke signals with the Indians, because social media really is just a two-way flow of information. Where in the past as business people we have pushed a marketing message out to our audience, now we find that our clients and potential clients are creating the marketing message. They're talking about our products and services, they're sharing it with their friends, and there's an expectation that we will actually be responding to them and including them in a social way. But that social media really includes everything from microblogs such as Twitter, social gaming, Farmville apps, other blogs that are up there. And this social media conversation, Prism, really shows that entire landscape. So if you're looking for that, go and look up Brian Solis as well. He's a preeminent social media expert. I love what he does, and the link is there on your screen as well. Now, I have had a few people ask me if the webinar is being recorded. Yes, it is, and it will be up on the Queensland Business website as well. And you'll see that we do have the Twitter account, the @businessqldgov. So if you are on Twitter, be connecting there, or over with Queensland Business on Facebook as well. And I've had a few people ask me about the workbook as well. We will refer to the workbook. You should have got a link when you signed up for the webinar. But that one, Anthony has popped a link in the question panel there in the chat as well for you. Okay, so let's keep going. So we're going to look at the big four, and we're going to look at a few others today. When we say the big four social media, when most people think of social media, this is probably what they think of: LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. And if you could type in the chat box for me there, which, if any, of these big four are you on yet? I just want to get a feel for how many of you are already using social media. And I'm talking in a business context here rather than individually, first and foremost. A few of you. If you say none at all, if you say you're using it personally, but not for business, okay, great, you're in the right place. Someone said that's why I'm here. Absolutely. So I look at these four, really, I mean, they're the big four because of their user numbers, but I look at them in terms of more traditional media. For me, Facebook is really like your newspaper. It's a place where people are going to generally on a daily basis. And in Australia, there's 11.5 million people on Facebook, but they're logging in for about an hour a day. Now, that sounds like a lot when you think about anyone that's using Facebook. They're not just going in for an hour at a time. Most people are logging in for about 15 or 20 minutes, 3 or 4 times a day to make up that hour. So we're having conversations and crafting messages, connecting with family and friends, and really finding out what's going on in the world. Twitter is more like our radio station. It's broadcast messaging. It's text messaging. Think of it as text messaging on the internet. It's limited to 140 characters, so they're short, sharp messages delivered voraciously. There's so many messages going through on Twitter, and it's all about what's happening right now. And just like on traditional radio, when you hear the news, you'll often hear that the same or very similar news at 8 o'clock and then 8:30 and 9 o'clock, and they just keep adding snippets to it as the news evolves throughout the day. It's also great for feedback, and you think about talkback radio, that's very much where you can sort of get the concept of Twitter, but in text on the internet. YouTube, think of it as your TV station. So YouTube is all videos and it's all visual, and in fact YouTube is now the second largest search engine on the internet, second behind Google, which was so large it actually bought YouTube for $1.6 billion. And just by a show of hands, I'd love to see how many of you have ever gone looking for or watched a how-to video on YouTube, or have gone and Googled a how-to video on YouTube. Yes, lots. Do it all the time. Fantastic. And I mean, I admit too, we're also busy now. The same thing with television, where a lot of us are are actually tuning into YouTube now, like our television station, quite often going there to get our movies. And my crystal ball says we're going to get some paid channels on YouTube as well. But you could be setting up your own, essentially, TV channel and talking to your target clients on YouTube. At the moment, you can do that for free. There are some premium features, but that one you can do for free. And then the last one is LinkedIn. Now, LinkedIn is a professional business networking site. So think of this as putting your personal resume onto the internet. But of course, both LinkedIn and Facebook also have a place for your business on what are called company or business pages. And you could think of those like a flyer for your business on those sites. What's important here is think about not just what you're trying to achieve on the sites, but who you're trying to talk to. Because if you're trying to have a newspaper conversation, then you should probably be having it over on Facebook with the daily news. But if it's short, sharp snippets of information, then maybe Twitter is more the place for you. If you have great visuals, you're dealing with videos, obviously it's YouTube. And if you're dealing in a professional B2B space and you want to keep it very professional, then we should be crafting that over on LinkedIn. Interesting for me though, LinkedIn's the one that's been around the longest. It was actually started in 2002, then came along Facebook in 2004. It's grown to be the largest with 1.1 billion users now. YouTube followed hot on its heels with a group of friends that simply wanted to share videos. And that's 8 years ago now. And then Twitter is a newcomer out of the four. And in a lot of cases, it's still kind of seen as the little brother because it's been nipping at the heels. And we've all heard the stories of celebrities making some rather large blunders on Twitter. And I think the reason for that is it moves so quickly and it's so easy to access. It's also so easy to be making some of those media mistakes, as I call them. Now, the up-and-comers and the ones that I think you should be watching from a business perspective are these three. Who's on Pinterest? Just by a show of hands. Anybody using Pinterest, just personally, for yourself? No, few no's. Looking at it, I get one yes in capital letters. I'm finding that the people that are on Pinterest love Pinterest. Now, what Pinterest is a bookmarking site. So you know on the toolbar on your browser when you bookmark something and say, I'll come back to that later, I bookmark it in my toolbar. Think of Pinterest the same way, but it's like visual or virtual pin boards where you can be pinning images just like you do to notice boards. You can craft your own boards that can be any topics you like, but Pinterest is very heavily female demographic users in Australia. And we're pinning everything from visions of our perfect wedding to recipes and meals, interior decor, and for me, social media marketing infographics. Now, that one may be important for you if you have a product that can be represented visually, and particularly if you're looking at a middle-aged female market. It's a highly addictive site and was the fastest growing standalone website ever in the history of the internet, which is really interesting. They started in 2010, but only gave us business pages in December 2012. They've updated their terms and conditions, and they have some fabulous tools for businesses that are looking to integrate Pinterest into their website. G Plus, or Google Plus, I classify as Google's attempt at Facebook. So it is their social network. If you have a local business, if you have a business that you want to put onto a map, it is vital that your business is correctly positioned in Google and in Google Places and on Google Maps. And Google Places has now become integrated with the Google Plus product. So we are having Google Plus Local Places, which integrates with their pages. Now, it's a little bit technical, but think of it this way. If you have a Gmail account, you have a Google account. And Google last year integrated cross-account and cross-services terms and conditions. So their terms and conditions for one product are the same across all. The reason for that is they are totally integrating their products and services. They really want to keep you in Google World. Now, what does that mean for you and your business? If you want to be found on Google, then you may need to be looking at Google Plus, and as I said, if you're a local business, Google Plus Places, because the new tools and features that are coming out of Google Plus, I think, are fantastic for business. Just by a show of hands, has anybody used Google Plus Hangouts? These are a video conferencing service, and you can do live video chats. Let me have a look, you're saying there. For that reason alone, I love my Gmail. I used to use Skype for that service, but I found that Skype's become a little bit unreliable, and of course Microsoft have now made that a paid part of their service. So you can go and do that in your Google account for free on Google Hangouts, they're called. So just kind of as an aside from your marketing, that can be a great tool. Put your marketing hat on and start thinking about a Google product where you can be recording that Google Hangout, that live video. So you could do a video presentation of you speaking or of your team holding a meeting. You can live stream it, so actually record it and have it go straight to your YouTube channel where any amount of people can be watching in the audience. You can record it and it can stay on your YouTube channel, another Google property. So I think you can start to see the links and the possibilities there. It's only going to work for you though if you're ready to make the video content. And then the one down the bottom here, anybody know what that is? Just type it in the chat. There's a lot of people, I just add on the Google Plus, it said their staff are using this for their weekly meetings. We do as well, Lara. We use that to be signing into. Our team are a virtual team, and we've found that Google Hangouts are really great for that. So anyone know what this little icon down here is? Instagram. A lot of you are saying no, not sure. So Instagram is a photo editing site, I'll call it that. I always smile when I go to Instagram because I say, you know what, you can take a photo and make it look like my photos did back in the 70s. So it has all beautiful filters and effects and things you can be put on your photos, but it's also a social sharing site. You can be sharing those photos, you can follow people, you can like their photos and give them little hearts and share them with your family and friends. Instagram is working very well with the younger demographic, but I will also say that Facebook acquired Instagram in 2012 for $1 billion. And they have done very little with the Instagram app other than to integrate it very, very well into Facebook. So they're giving their audience that they already had on Facebook this great tool because their own photo tool wasn't being used very much. And what they have also done is then taken this tool now and given it some new features. And just recently, Instagram introduced very short video service on there as well. So you can have 15-second videos on the site. So if your target market is the sort of people taking lots of photos, socially sharing, responding to those, that may be an important part of your marketing mix. So how does it stack up? I can tell you that Facebook has just crept up to just under 1.1 billion, 1.06 billion. And in Australia, it's 1.6 million. Actually went a little bit backwards in the last couple of months in Australia because Facebook are really clamping down on spam accounts and on accounts set up incorrectly. So it's more important than ever to make sure that your accounts are set up the right way. You'll see, though, that there's 11 million users of Facebook in Australia as well, registered users, 2.4 million on LinkedIn and 2.2 million on Twitter. So they're heading up the pack. But Instagram, Pinterest and Google Plus all have very active user bases in Australia. And these stats were as of February 2013 from various sources. I will give you a great source if you're looking for social media statistics. Is a site called Social Bakers, BAKERS.com, socialbakers.com, and they break down all of the social media sites based by different countries as well. Now, which network suits which situations? And I'm going to say here, I really want you to step sort of away from the social media and think, what are we trying to achieve with our social media marketing? And who are we trying to speak to? Because unless you identify those two things, you cannot make a decision on what are the best networks for you to be using. So Facebook suits mass market, especially business to consumer. Think about the people you know that use Facebook, or if you use Facebook yourself. Everyone, basically everyone is using it. In fact, some 72% of the people that are on the internet in Australia are on Facebook. It's not a teenager's site though. You know, you may think it's something for the kids, but in reality, most teenagers are breaking their neck to get to the site when they're 13, which is when they're legally allowed to. I've had 5 children. They pester you from about 10 to get on the site. And then somewhere between 15 and 17, they move away from Facebook. They're more likely to be on Snapchat or Tumblr or one of those instant type gratification sites where they're messaging with lots of gamification and fun. You know, they can do games and apps and things. And then about 19 to 22, the demographics of the teenagers come back to Facebook. The largest demographic in Australia is the 35 to 44-year-olds. But the fastest growing demographic are the females in the 50-plus age group. Anyone know why that is? Just pop into the chat box why you think that might be. Why the 50-plus, and I will say it's fairly even male-female. Last stats I saw were 53% female, 47% male, but it's fairly even, but the fastest growing demographic is those 50-plus females. And the males are very close behind them, I might add. Ideas? Their children on Facebook. Yes, I've got some grandchildren. Keep up with the kids. Very much so. You know, I wouldn't know what was going on with my teenage and early adult children as well. Connect with family and friends. The kids are on it. I got onto Facebook because I really think I needed to find out. But social isolation, that's a really interesting one, Karen. Working but still keeping up with the family, and I think we are more and more disconnected in terms of physical presence. We are all over the country and the world now, and we've got this huge group of baby boomers that are moving and travelling and want to stay connected and are more technology savvy than ever. I know the CEO of the Creative Collective, Yvette Adams, calls the photos that she puts on there granny bait. You know, granny, if you want to see photos of the grandchildren, they're on Facebook. The parties are being organised on Facebook. And really it's got to the stage in most Western countries, if you're not on Facebook, you're missing out. You're missing vital connections. And that's what happens with the 19 and 21-year-olds, because suddenly they're not going to high school every day. They're not seeing their best friends for hours and hours each day. They may move into new social circles, and they need ways of connecting with those and keeping up different types of relationships, some of them over significant distances. Okay, YouTube is a mass market. If you have a product you can represent visually, and for me, I really believe that every one of you as business owners need to be considering video content. And if you're going to use video content in order to get ranked on YouTube and video content because your market is looking for it, then it makes sense that you are putting it on YouTube, but you do need to think about it being a professionally branded site. LinkedIn, if you're in the business-to-business space, you're looking to connect with business professionals, there is a slight skew to males. There are more males than females on LinkedIn, but I think that's true of the business professionals in our country as well. It's skewed towards males. Twitter can be business-to-business and business-to-consumer. It's real-time. Think of it as a radio station. If it would be relevant there, it may be relevant for you. A slight skew to males, and in fact the AFL has done a wonderful job in this country of keeping males connected and using the site. There's lots of people in the 40s to 50s sort of range that connected to Twitter purely to keep up with sporting teams or television stations. Anyone, just by a show of hands, anyone watched Quanda, questions and answers on the ABC? You can sit and watch Quanda and actually type in messages on Twitter and have those messages become part of the television show. That's incredible that you can have that sort of interactivity. Feel you're doing that? A lot of them saying you're doing that with reality TV shows as well. Yeah, I saw Bill Gates on there not so long ago, and it was amazing. There was one show going on TV and another show going on Twitter. If you're running events and things like that, Twitter is fantastic for real-time updates, both before, during, and after the event. Now, Instagram, you need businesses with a visual product or a product that you could represent visually, because you need to be producing photos and perhaps videos there as well. It's more female skewed, and it's very definitely a site that the teenagers love. It's got teenager interactivity. They are all over Instagram. Pinterest, any business with a visual product. And what we've put in here is great Google juice. That's my word there. But if you are looking to get to the top of the search engines, incorporating a strategy to use Pinterest could be valuable to you, because right now Pinterest is the fastest growing standalone website ever. In many countries, it's now the third largest social network, and it's quickly getting there in this country as well. If you're looking to connect with females between 20 and 45 years and you can create visual content, it's a super easy site to use, but it also can help you rank very well in the search engines, because not only do you upload photos, but you can embed your website link into those photos so people can come straight back to yours as well. And Google Plus, at the moment, the users are predominantly male, 18 to 24-year-old. Lots of them are students, lots of them are tech and scientific industries, but with all Gmail users now having a Google Plus account, Google are also giving preferential treatment in the search engines to those businesses that are sharing on Google Plus. Individuals and businesses, but businesses if you're trying to get found in the search engines. So while you may not be thinking, well, that's not my market on Google Plus, also be thinking about, are we looking to be found in the search engines? Is that one of our most important objectives of using social media? Then perhaps you should be looking at it. Okay. Most common excuses and concerns people see when we have about social media, what do you think they are? You know, when people say to me, oh, I always hear, it just takes too much time. What about privacy? You know, if you're raising concerns or excuses, I know you're all busy already before this social media explosion hit. You just type into the chat box there, what are your most common excuses maybe about not doing this, or concerns about doing it? What are you running into? Bad comments, getting bad feedback, people saying things, it's overwhelming and confusing. Yeah, I hear that a lot. There's just so much of it, and it moves so quickly, and it's changing all the time. I have days where I feel overwhelmed, you know, and I'm buried in it on the time. Quite intrusive. I would agree with that one, well, because I think there's so much data on everybody now. The average 2-year-old in Australia has a digital footprint, and to me as a mother, that's quite scary. So I will always say there, don't be bullied by the technology. So when we take those concerns, a lot of you are saying you're not sure what to do, a little scared of your privacy, and time is coming up. It's interesting that 2 of the comments there said too much information's put on it, and then the other one was, I don't know what to put on it. I think that's a big thing too. If you're going to use these social media sites, you really need to think about, what are we going to post? How often are we going to post it? And does our audience care? You know, we've got to find information that they actually are interested in using. So how do we do that? And it's also important, if you go into these social sites, that you're keeping up with it. So we've got a few here. Number 1, I don't want old contacts to find me, or people may know what I'm up to. That's kind of the privacy settings we were talking about before. So what I would say with this is, here's an example from Facebook. In your own Facebook account, you actually have complete control over who you post to, who gets to see certain elements of you on Facebook, but with one caveat. Anything you post on a social media site, personally or as a business, consider it public. There's been a recent legal ruling that says even if you post something in your personal profile, with strong security settings or privacy settings, you can have a reasonable expectation that people you hadn't intended to see it would see it. And I think you need to keep that mindset. So my advice is, when you're putting things on social media or the internet generally, is don't be bullied into providing any data you didn't wish to in the first place. Really think about, how visible do I want to be? Who am I connecting to as friends? What are we allowing them to see? And you can do that specifically in Facebook here by going up to the little cog in the very top right-hand corner up here and scrolling down and checking both your privacy settings and your account settings. There's brand new Facebook profiles coming out. It's important you control in both of these. A lot of you said, I don't have the time. Don't have the time. And we get that mantra, work smarter, not harder, you know. But something you can do that with is great tools. So here's one tool that I use. In fact, this tool changed my life. It's called Hootsuite. So let me write that. Hoot as in owl. Actually, Anthony, can you pop that one in for me, please? Hoot as in owl and suite as in hotel suite, S-U-I-T. And Hootsuite allows, it's like a dashboard for my social media. The same way you can have a dashboard for your car that tells you how much petrol you've got and how hot or cold the engine is running. This one allows me to see who's talking at me, about me, or to me, what messages have gone out from my business social media accounts, who's liked them, commented, and shared, and allows me to post to multiple social media sites at the one time. And most importantly of all, allows me to schedule my posts to go out at a time when our target audience is most likely to be online. So I can be connecting with people at 9 p.m. on a Saturday evening because my statistics have told me they're online using the sites, but I don't need to be there at that time to have it done. So I don't need to have social media taking over my life. I had a few people say, I'm just too old for this. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. Oh, yes, you can. This lady is Eva Woodrow from the Sunshine Coast. She's 101 and on Facebook. I know there's a lady in the UK too who's 107 on Facebook, and she is actually picketing Facebook right now because at the moment you can only have your age is 99. Facebook only goes back 99 years to put your birth date in. And she said, I didn't mind when I was 100, but now I'm approaching 110. I want the world to know my age. So you're never too old. Who has a parent or a grandparent or, you know, somebody over 80 that they know is on a social networking site? Even my 75-year-old mother-in-law, who has been, you know, wary of what's happening in the news and what she's hearing, said to me the other day, I really need to get on this Facebook thing because I'm missing out on so much. And I think that's quite telling. Now, a lot of people are saying, yeah, they're in there, but so your mum's nearly 76 and uses it a lot. Fantastic. I'd love her to talk to my mother-in-law because I know she would. I'm certain she would benefit from it. She lives by herself, one child, and I think it would be and would really help with the isolation. I think it's going to be a very strong tool. But knowing that moving forward, let's go the other end. I'll get my teenager or young marketing kid to manage it for me. He's done that, had the work experience student or someone set it up. This to me is the biggest trap because, you know, although they may be technology savvy, they have little or no understanding of your brand, and they quite often have little or no comprehension as to the dangers or the strategies and how things may look online. So don't just think because the youngest member of your team uses Facebook or uses social media that they're the ideal choice to be managing it or marketing. I would certainly have them in the team, and I'd encourage them to be creators as well. But you really do need to step back and think about your brand voice and how you represent it on the site. And a few of you mentioned this one. Someone might say something bad about me, my brand, my staff. This is always possible in all marketing. And in social media, realistically, you are opening up your brand a little. You give away a little control. So you need to be ready for this, okay? You need to know, what do we do if someone says something negative? How do we respond? We'll go into that a little bit more in the next section. I had a few say, is it just a waste of time? We're spending this time. There definitely are results there, and I'll give you this reference from crowdspring.com. But if you're using the sites, it's vitally important you know what you're trying to achieve on it. Because I say to people, you know, what's your ROI or return on investment on your marketing, and they don't know. They may be able to tell me, wow, we got 1,000 likes on Facebook, but what does that really mean? Is that any value for your business, or does it just give you a warm fuzzy feeling because you think a lot of people like your brand or business? What is important to know is 51% of Facebook users and 64% of Twitter users in a recent survey said they are more likely to buy from the brands that they follow or are a fan on or like on the social media sites. And with 62% of adult US internet users watching videos on social sharing sites, you know they're there, okay? And they also have an impetus. If they're connecting, they're expecting communication, but they are also more likely to become your clients if they have a good relationship with you in social media. Had a few of you saying it's just all too technical, it's all too hard, I wouldn't be able to do it. I haven't told you this, for those of you that haven't seen me in public, I'm 42 years of age, so I didn't grow up with this technology either. I've had to learn it, and some days I cope really well and some days I don't. But the reality for me is, when I went to high school, I remember getting our first computer. It was this massive computer in a room. We put little punch cards in it and coloured in circles. Anyone else, just a show of hands? Anyone else remember those big computers that you put cards into? And I'm not that old. So in my lifetime, I've seen computers go from that to a computer that's in your mobile phone. A great conversation with my 16-year-old last year. She was complaining she so needed an iPhone 5, and then sort of spat at me, what mobile phone did you have when you went to high school? Once I stopped laughing, I said we didn't have mobile phones in high school. And I really think as business owners, we are constantly in a state of change. And if you don't change, you die in business terms. It really is. And there's a great quote by Eric Coleman from Socialnomics. He says the ROI of social media for your business is that your business will still exist in 5 years. So I'm really at that stage now where I'm looking at social media is inevitable. It doesn't have to be that technical, but if you don't have the skills and the resources to do it, you have a couple of options. You get more training, like this one, and we've got some great free or paid training, or you get professionals to assist you. And I would actually recommend a combination of both. There are some things in social media that would, like graphics and design, that I could do, but it would take me so long and it would be substandard compared to what a professional could do. But I need to know enough to know if they're doing a good job and to work out how to get them to produce a product that works for me, my business brand, and connects with the people I'm trying to talk to. So it's important you have an overriding vision of where you're going. Now that vision, if you like, is your strategy. And what I see is most people jump into social media here at this setup. We're going to do Facebook. We're going to get the work experience student to whack up a Facebook page. And the reality of it is there's no thought gone into a strategy. Why are we doing this? What are we trying to achieve? Who are we trying to talk to and where are they? And no thought of a policy. Who is it appropriate to post on the social media sites? What do we do when a client asks to be a friend on a social media site? And then, of course, once you do that, you get your strategy and policy. You do need to set them up professionally on Brand Voice. You need to get some training to work out how you're going to be using the sites. And then you need to spend time in this part down here, engaging. And I think the ones, number 1 and number 4, are the most important steps. The rest are you need to do or it won't work. But 1 and 4 are the ones that people miss. Being strategic about what we're trying to achieve, and then actually working out how do we talk to people? How do we get people to like, comment, and share? How do we produce content that anyone's even interested in that actually still achieves our primary objective? In looking at all of your brand reputation, it comes back to monitoring and then measuring and refining. Is what we're doing working? Should we do more of something and less of another? Or maybe do we need to look at doing something completely different? Now, in defining your social media strategy, I recommend this, and this is a big takeaway from today's training. Before you look at what social media sites or physically how to do them, you really need to get clear on step 1, your main primary objective. And everyone says to me, oh, I want more leads, I want more sales, I want to communicate with people, I want testimonials and referrals, I want all of these things. But really, they're not thinking about, okay, if I could just do this one thing. So I want you to think about, here's some possible objectives: gain insights, attract potential employees, build loyalty. Can you tell me, by typing into chat, if I could wave a magic social media wand, what's the one thing that you would love to achieve, you think you'd love to achieve with your social media if you haven't started yet? I'd love to get that feedback. Generate awareness, brand loyalty, more sales. Yep. So what does more sales mean for you? Are you looking to actually sell on the social media, or are you really looking to drive people to your website to make those sales? Are you trying to get them to ring you on the phone? Because it is different. At the end of the day, we all want more sales. We all want more clients. We all want to make more money. Recognition, that one's interesting. PR, no one here has said get found in the search engines. So it's interesting that that's something you can do, but it's not the primary reason for you doing a lot of this. Okay. So once you have that, and I encourage you to write it down, then I want you to think about, who are you trying to talk to? And for me, the way of thinking about this is, rather than thinking of a target niche, actually think of a target person, or I call it a target persona. If you could build a person that is your ideal target, and if you're not sure about this, think about a client that you have that you absolutely love. You wish you could bottle them and clone them and have 500 just like them. And what is it about them? If they're a social media user, using social media sites, where are they? What are they? A specific gender? Do they have a certain educational level? Where are they located? I go to the stage with my clients that we design a persona with a name, and they start their marketing every time they do something. They think about, my persona is called Savvy Sally, and I think about what Savvy Sally would think. Because only by getting into their heads, if you like, and designing market that is in their best interest, in other words, they care about, will you be successful. And then step 3, define what success looks like for you. So how will you know if you're actually achieving your core objective? So if you want to build a community, you want to get engagement, it may be that you're looking at the number of followers, likers in a social network. If you're looking for a level of engagement, if you want to create a referral platform and community, like a few of you said, then you need to be looking at how many shares, comments, likes, plus ones, whatever it is on your networks that you're getting. If you're a local business and maybe you're looking at getting more people to your shop front, then work out how many check-ins on social media sites are occurring from your premises, how many views you're getting, and of course, lots of you said we want more sales, we want more customers. Then look at your sales, but you need to identify which of them are actually coming from a social media lead. And then step 4 is how you're measuring that, okay? So if you want to find out how many likes, comments, shares, which types of posts are working, there's Facebook Insights. And Facebook are launching a whole new form of insights, which is fantastic. It's very easy to read. And you just have to click on the little graph at the top of your Facebook page. So you do need to have a Facebook page. You do need to be the administrator to see the Facebook Insights. But they can tell you very quickly which of your posts is getting the most comments, likes, and shares, and when your audience is most likely to be online. You can look at manually grading, keep the stats yourself, or benchmarking against your competitors, using URL shorteners or tracking URLs so you can track that. For me, I believe Google Analytics is a must-have tool. Okay, it's a free tool through Google. It takes some time to learn, though, to work out exactly where your traffic is coming from. And you do need to be able to get into the back end of your website or have a professional do that for you so you can integrate your Google Analytics. And then you can see visually, where exactly are people coming from, how long are they staying on your website, and which of those leads are actually producing your sales. And if you're looking specifically at something like Twitter, there's a site called Tweet Grader as well to tell you the quality of it. And the last one there is step 5 is defining what your resources will be required. Because I want to put this to you, that a lot of people say to me, social media, oh, it's all right, but at least it's free. Social media is not free. A lot of the sites are free to use. A lot you can set up without any charge. But there is a cost to your time and to your resources. Now, sometimes that's money, but also it's brain power. And a lot of people, if you're really not a social person, if you really don't like a lot of these social media sites, then you need to look at, am I the best person to be marketing on these? If you don't understand your market, then maybe you should reach out to someone that does have social media skills that can assist you in that. Maybe is it another team member? Is it someone you need to hire? Or now you can even subcontract out with specialists and virtual assistants. Be a little bit careful though. There is a budget required. And generally in social media, like most marketing, you get what you pay for. So I'm going to encourage you to be quite social media savvy and know what you're paying for. But please never, ever, ever buy social media likes or comments or follows or shares. The majority of those cheap services are just spam robots in a country somewhere. Or at the very least, they may be real, but they're in Romania or in Asia places. Not only will they not help your social media marketing, they will actually be penalized by most of the sites, because you'll have all of these likes, comments, and all of the likers on your page or followers on Twitter that never interact with you because they're simply not interested in your messages or your product. They're doing you more harm than good. So think about that. Who's actually sat down and done that process and set up a social media strategy before? My show of hands. Just going to have a look there. Not many of you. Okay, that's great. We're in an intro to social media, so that's good. Who's going to do that now? It's actually a relatively simple task, but it takes some time to sit down and go through. And you need to get lots of hands going up now. Fantastic. You really need to be thinking about, what are we trying to achieve? Okay, who are we trying to talk to, and where on the social media sites are they? Define your social media strategy in terms of, what are you actually trying to achieve? Okay, and then how are we going to measure that? Then the other side of that coin is your social media policy. Now think of this as all the legals around it, okay? Who will be allowed to post? Will you encourage customers or clients to reply? Will you even let them? A lot of people say to me, oh, I don't want clients posting on our social media sites. Well, you, in most cases, have the ability to limit that somewhat. But then is it really social media, or is it just broadcast advertising? If you are going to let clients comment, then of course you need to be monitoring it. What do you do if the person that normally monitors the social media is away, is sick? What type of things are they allowed to post? Can everybody post? Is there a screening process? Are you going to have to approve posts before they go up? How often are you posting? And what happens in integrating this with our other marketing campaigns? Should we be accepting colleagues as friends on our social media sites? Should we be accepting clients? And also, too, how do we ensure that when people are posting as our business, they don't accidentally post as themselves? Or do we want them promoting business and promotions as individuals as well as the business? So there's a lot there to consider. But when you think about it, it's very similar to the legals when you're doing client contracts or business plans. I think a lot of people forget when they do social media, you should look at it the same way. If you're going to post, or you want to post, photos of your clients using your products on social media, have you got a client release for that? Have you got permission to use their images in your marketing? Are you getting them to sign that when they're entering your event or using your product? We personally, our business, we run surveys at the end, and we actually say, give us a powerful paragraph of what you thought of our service. We say, if you fill in this box, you can expect that we will use this in our marketing, including but not limited to our website and social media sites. So I'm not a lawyer. I'm not going to define your social media policy for you. There's lots of experts, but there's some things to consider in it. And then defining your social media policy, there's lots of tools in terms of marketing and monitoring. And I know I've said this a lot, but it's vitally important. If you are going to step into the social media space as a business, if you're going to start marketing, you need to be monitoring. And in fact, even if you're not doing very much marketing as such in a social media sense, I still believe every business needs to be monitoring their social media activity. What are people saying about you, your business, your product, your brand? How do you know? And there's a great site called Google Alerts. It's google.com/alerts, ALERTS, and it's free. You can go in and set up, define any sort of terms that you want to be alerted for when they first appear in the search engine in Google, in a Google search. But there's lots of others there. For me personally, I use Hootsuite. Now, for up to 5 accounts, Hootsuite is free. Over 5 accounts, you do have to pay for it. And then some of those on the right-hand side are fabulous tools. They go up to enterprise level in analytics as well. Okay. And what will you monitor on your social media? Are you just looking at your name, your business name, your product names, or are you looking at industry hangouts, learning new information? Are you monitoring what your employees perhaps are doing? And there are levels of those that, if it's a public site, you are actually able to monitor those. You cannot, though, be asking for personal login details. But if employees are listing information publicly, you can find it. And as I said, there could be legal liability what they're posting as well. You can also do some great intelligence work on what your competitors are doing as well. So let's kind of get that all together for you. When you're defining your social media policy, I also recommend that you think about, okay, what are we trying to achieve? Who are we trying to talk to? These are the sites they're on. So here's my top 8 tips then to do. Identify suitable usernames. A lot of people don't do this. So there's a site there called Namecheck, NAMECHK.com. Anthony, can you pop that one into the chat for me? It's not a spelling mistake. That is the real site. You can go to this site and it will let you know if the term that you're looking for is available across multiple social media accounts. It's vital you think about the names that you're using on your social media accounts, and do they look professional? Do they brand you professionally? And how would they look on a business card? Because everything you're doing on social media should be included in all of your marketing. Get social apps on your mobile, being able to access your mobile accounts. And for a lot of cases, for business use, the app may be different. So for instance, on Facebook, there's a Facebook app for people to go in and use their personal Facebook account to be talking to family and friends. But as a business, you need to come over and be the administrator of a business page. Think of it like your flyer for your business on Facebook. So there's actually a different app, and it's called Pages Manager. So that's just one example. And for me, of course, I've already told you I love Hootsuite. So Hootsuite, my dashboard, I also have apps on my mobile phone. I have an app on my iPad. So I can be going in, when I've got a few spare moments, I'm always just checking, just making sure things are okay. I see a great photo, I can pop it up, post it to multiple accounts, schedule it at a time to go on when my audience are most likely to be there in seconds because I have the app on my mobile devices. If you're feeling a little overwhelmed by this, you're not sure where to start, go through this process and pick the most relevant network for the target audience that you're trying to reach. Now, I do recommend you initially invite your network, not just family and friends, but colleagues and clients, people you're already connected with, because it is good to get a foothold on those networks. But then make new friends and connections. Some great apps, for instance, that you can scan business cards and be connecting with people on the social media sites. I do that for LinkedIn with an app called Scan Biz, B-I-Z cards, but there's Card Much and lots of others there as well. Tune into the conversations first. My dad used to say to me, you have two ears and one mouth for a reason, because you should be listening twice as much as you speak. And I think that's true. It's vital in social media. Listen to what people are saying, monitor the conversations, find out what your audience responds to, and then start to participate. Then go in. Don't just go in gangbusters and think you know it all to start with. And commence your status updates with your key objectives and your target market clearly in mind. It is important for me to mention here staying safe on social media, and you should be thinking about this for yourself, for any of your staff, but also for your connections, your family and friends. You think about who to accept and who not to. Don't be bullied into accepting people because you feel guilty. Think about, why am I connecting with this person? It's okay to politely decline requests. If someone asks to connect with me on my Facebook profile and they're really just a business contact or someone I don't know, I simply send them a message back that says, thanks for connecting. You'll find all about my social media training over here, and I give them a link for our Facebook business page. It's important you have gone in and set up your personal privacy and account settings, and you know what people can see of you personally on the social media sites before you start marketing on them. And then this one sounds obvious, but not always. Limit the amount of personal information you post. If you don't want Facebook sharing it, don't tell them the information. And sometimes we almost tell them by accident. Just because they keep asking you which school you went to doesn't mean you have to tell them, unless you make a conscious decision of wanting to do that. Remember, what goes online stays online. And in fact, anything you're placing on Facebook, I know, is cached and stored for 7 years and could be delivered to the legal authorities in our country. So even if you delete it, you'll notice when you edit a post on Facebook, it shows that it's been edited because the original version is still cached with Facebook for 7 years. The other side of that is use strong passwords. Change them often, do not share them, and keep your software, virus, and anti-malware updated. And beware of third-party apps. If there are apps connecting to your account, it's in under account settings on Facebook and most of the social media sites. If there are apps there that are accessing your account, you need to know why. Are they performing a use? If you don't know why they're there, my recommendation is to remove them. Okay, so let's summarize it all before we take some questions to the bottom of the hour. I want you coming out of today to get super clear on your social media strategy first. I think I've said that one enough. Pick the one social network you think suits you best in line with what you're trying to achieve and who you're trying to speak to. And really focus on getting good at that first. You're not going to be perfect at it. We never are because it changes so rapidly. You should always be improving. But I do recommend that you get fairly comfortable with the one network before you start adding on a second and a third and a fourth and a fifth. And if you're going to go to a multi-platform use, you may choose to secure some usernames and set up basic accounts on a few social media sites for business, but really focus on building the community on one first, and the rest you may be duplicating to and build over time to get comfortable in finding your voice. If that's daunting, get some training so you are confident. You can really be effective and efficient with your time and doing things safely if you step back and think, okay, what skills do I have? What do I need? Don't be afraid to ask for help. And there are lots of free resources. Queensland Business, go and connect with them at businessqld.gov on Twitter as well. Provide great resources. This webinar, there's lots more going on like these all of the time in all facets of your business. But it's important that you're reaching out and getting that training and taking the time to upgrade your skills. And connect with someone who will keep you updated. Maybe it's us, maybe it's somebody else, but we're here to help. Using social media tools like any business so you're working smarter, not harder. It's a catch cry we hear all the time, but it's vitally important. And if you're going in, regardless of the social media marketing you're performing, you must be monitoring social media activity and interactions. Measuring and refining your strategy should be an ongoing tool. In fact, I review my privacy and my social media results every single month. Okay. Now, we do have time for questions. You did receive a link to the workbook, and Anthony, if you could just pop up the link to the workbook as well. There's a huge amount of information in that as well. I encourage you to connect with the social media sites. If you are on Twitter and haven't done so already, or you can do it on the Facebook page as well now because Facebook has hashtags, you can use the hashtag SmallBiz, so SMALLBIZ week. Okay. Now I'm going to go through some of these questions, pop them out so I can see them. And if you have a burning question, even if you'd asked it earlier on, if you want to pop it into chat there for me to make sure I don't miss it, because we've got a lot of chat here, which is fabulous. And I'll make sure I'm covering as many of those as I can. I've had quite a few people who have asked me about privacy. I think you really need to think about how visual do you want to be and who do you want to connect with, both in a personal and a business sense. Every site has privacy settings, and Google is your friend. If you're not sure about an individual site, go into Google and put, how do I set privacy settings for my personal account on Facebook, for instance, and it will show you the little gear in the top right-hand corner. I've had a lot of you ask if this is being recorded. Yes, it is, and will be available through the Department of Tourism Major Events, Small Business and the Commonwealth Games, which the Queensland Business social media sites will link you through to their YouTube channel, where you'll find a copy of that. If you're registered for today, you will get a link to the recording as well. Lots of staff using Pinterest for their boards. Can we get more training in Pinterest? I'd love you to give us that feedback. And yes, I have done some free video trainings in Pinterest as well. Again, Google is great. You'll be amazed how much information is available in Google. What I will say though, is be careful about who you're getting your advice from. If you're going to a training, free, paid or otherwise, I always go and look. I do a Google search on the presenter's name, I'll be honest, and if you guys did that on me today, well done. And look at their social media credentials and say, do I admire what they have achieved enough to be taking advice from them? And then look at the most recent trainings they have done. So if you're looking at our YouTube channel, for instance, be looking at the most recent ones, because social media is so dynamic. I suggest you start at the top, start at the most recent, because it's changing all of the time. Can you please post the webinar's link on the Facebook site? Queensland Business will be doing that. You'll be needing the info again, and please do share those links with people that couldn't reach us today. And I've had a few people asking tips on getting people to interact more. And I'm going to wrap up on this one because I think it's a great way to be saving the site. At the end of the day, a fabulous quote I had from Nick Bowditch, who is the manager for Australia